Hello, I'm Amanda Sherlock, Director of Operations Delivery at the Care Quality Commission. We have produced the following film to guide you step by step through the process of registering your out-of-hours service with the CQC. The Health and Social Care Act 2008 introduced a single registration system that applies to health and adult social care services. All out-of-hours providers are required to register with CQC by April 2012. By registering, you are assuring patients, as well as the government, that you meet the essential standards of quality and safety expected of all health and social care providers. The registration process is not designed to be a burdensome task. It is straightforward and does not require you to hire extra staff or to buy additional software to help you to apply. Most good providers will already have policies and procedures in place that will demonstrate how they are meeting the essential standards of quality and safety. Most of you will have enrolled on our website and you will shortly receive an invitation to register. Registration takes place on an online form. We will send you emails with details of your password and username. If you need any help in addition to this film, you can refer to the How to Apply and Your Guide to Registration documents on our website. There is an online help facility on the application pages that you can refer to while you are applying. And we have dedicated support staff who you can call if you have any queries. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to this presentation. I'm Victoria Howes, and together with my colleague Nicola Hepworth, we'll be guiding you through your registration application form. About this presentation. This presentation will provide an overview of the registration application form from the perspective of a provider and will highlight the key things you need to consider. Before you begin, you should consider other guidance we have provided. This includes the Your Guide to Registration and the NHS Out-of-Hours Service provider pages on our website. To prepare for completing the form, please make sure you have read the relevant legislation and have all the contact details and information, such as CRB or GMC numbers, you will need to enter. Starting the web form. You should have already completed your enrolment form. The next step is that we will send you a statutory notification and your login details. We cannot do this unless you have enrolled with us. Your statutory notification will give you a 28-day window in which you can complete and submit your application form. The login details will be sent in 2 emails. One will contain your username and one will contain your password. It is important to think about who should complete the application form. If you're registering as an individual, then you as the individual should complete. If you're registering as a partnership, it should be one of the partners. However, all the other partners must also have read and understood the contents of the form. If you're registering as an organisation, it should be a person who is duly authorised to complete the form and receive the statutory notices on behalf of the organisation. The directors must also have read and understood the contents of the form. Please note, you do not need to send in any supporting documentation with your form. Key things. There are some important things you should be aware of. There is a 30-minute timeout that will close the form if you do not enter anything for 30 minutes. So please remember to save regularly. When navigating the form, please do not use your browser's back button. Instead, use the buttons at the bottom of the web form page. Save and quit when you want to leave a section, or save and continue when you want to carry on through a section of the form. There is a help button at the top of each page if you need help at any time. Please do not input any confidential personal information, such as patient names, as this will result in your application being rejected. Questions you must complete are marked with an asterisk. Please answer the other questions as well if you have the information.
Changing your password. When you log in for the first time, you are required to change your password. Enter the password we sent you. Choose a new password and enter it. Confirm the new password. Update with the button at the bottom of the page. Main menu. Look around the main menu page. This is the main navigation page of the registration form where you can access the sections of the form. When you first log in, the only section you can access is Form Setup. As you can see, there is currently no information in the Managers and Locations sections. These sections will be generated as you progress through the form setup. Click on Form Setup to enter your details. Form Setup, Add Locations. The first thing you need to do is to add your locations. If you need help in identifying what is a location, please refer to the information in the Your Guide to Registration document. You need to insert the name of each location and click the Add this location button after each one. A location name could be the name of medical centres or your head office. Repeat for all the locations you provide services from, not just your out-of-hours services, but all the regulated activities you deliver. If you add a location incorrectly, you can click the Remove button to delete the location. It is important that you input accurate details. When you have finished, click the Return to Form Setup button. You must be very certain, as there is no opportunity to change your locations after this point. Form Setup, Add Registered Managers. If you are an organisation, a partnership or an individual who is not in day-to-day charge, you will need to tell us who your registered managers are. Your registered managers will need to complete a section of the form themselves. We will send them their login details directly once you have completed Form Setup. Fill in the details for each registered manager. If you add a manager incorrectly, press the Remove button to delete them. It is important this information is accurate. If you are required to have a registered manager but do not have one, you can leave this section blank and continue with the form. But you will be required to add a registered manager once you are registered when you know who they are. You will have to do this using a separate form. It is much easier to do it through this single form. When you have finished, click the Return to Form Setup button. You must be very certain, as there is no opportunity to change or add a registered manager after this point. Form Setup, Finishing. Once you've added all your registered managers and locations, you can finish the form setup. Again, you must be very certain you have entered the details correctly, as there is no opportunity to change after this point. Click the Finish Form Setup button once you are sure.
The main menu. You will now be returned to the main menu. You can see that your locations and your registered managers, if you have any, will have appeared. Your registered managers can complete their sections at any point using their separate logins. You cannot do this for them, but you can view their sections. The next sections you must now complete are the two provider registration sections, starting with Part 1, which is shown in blue. To access a section, simply click on its name. You will complete the location sections later. All sections must be completed, including your registered manager sections, before you can complete your declaration at the end of the form. Provider Registration Part 1. The first question you are asked is what kind of provider you are. You can refer to Your Guide to Registration document if you need more information. Make your selection using the drop-down box, but please be aware that your selection will influence the rest of your form. Individuals. You should register as an individual if you're in business on your own and are legally responsible for the regulated activities you carry on. We expect this to be extremely rare for out-of-hours service providers. Partnerships. Where you provide regulated activities as a partnership, it is the partnership which includes all of the partners that must register. You should only register as a partnership if you have made arrangements for all partners to accept joint and several liabilities for the way the activities are carried on. Organisations. You should register as an organisation if you are a registered company, a charity, a limited liability partnership, or any other corporate or unincorporated body. Other questions in this section. Other questions in this first provider section include confirming your address and contact details. If you're a partnership, you will need to tell us the number of partners you have, and if you're an organisation, you need to input your company's house or charity's number. There are also questions relating to equalities, diversity and human rights, and how you involve service users. This section also requires you to provide CRB information and complete a statement on the availability of information which is set out in Schedule 3 of the regulations. We'll now go over those last two parts of the form in more detail. Partnerships and individuals, CRB checks. If you are registering as a partnership or an individual, you must either submit a General Medical Council number or a CQC countersigned enhanced CRB number for each applicant. If an applicant is a medical practitioner and has a GMC number, they are not required to apply for a CQC countersigned enhanced CRB as part of their application form. Please enter either a GMC number or a CRB application number or a CRB disclosure number. The individual or partner must have one of these numbers in order to complete the form. More details are available on our website or through the Help button, including guidance on how to apply for a CQC countersigned enhanced CRB. If you have provided one or more GMC numbers, you must then complete a declaration that those with GMC numbers have had a CRB with a PCT and have not been convicted or charged with any actual or alleged offences since their CRB. If for any reason you are unable to make this declaration, it does not automatically mean that they will need a CQC countersigned enhanced CRB. Instead, we may follow up why you have not been able to make this declaration as part of your assessment. Schedule 3. Other provider details. Under Schedule 3 of the regulations, you are legally required to have some further pieces of information available should we need to see it. You need to answer every question in this section. You do not need to submit the information now, but you need to confirm that you can provide it if we want to see it. For an individual, the information should be specific to you. For a partnership, the information should be available for each of the partners. If the information is not or can't be made available, please select No. Please select No even if the inability to provide the information only applies to one partner in the partnership. A text box is then made available so that you can provide more details as to why this information cannot be made available. We may follow this up as we process your application. Again, please do not submit this information with your application form.
Provider Registration Part 2. In this section, you need to provide information about your regulated activities, your nominated individual if you're an organisation, and linking up your locations, activities and registered managers. Activities. In this section, you need to tell us which regulated activities you carry on. These are the activities for which you are a provider, not just the activities to cover the out-of-hours services you provide. For more information on this, please refer to the Your Guide to Registration document. Locations to activities. Now you have told us which activities you undertake, you need to link these to the locations you told us about in the form setup. Each of the locations that you entered will be listed. All the activities that you have selected will automatically be populated. Use the drop-down menu to select which activities are relevant to which location. You need to make sure that there is at least one activity linked to each location and that all activities have been selected at least once. If you have selected your activities incorrectly, you are able to amend these by clicking on the previous button and making changes. It is easier to do this here rather than later, so it is important to get this right. Nominated individuals. If you have selected organisation as your provider type, you now need to tell us about your nominated individual. You will have to select the activities your nominated individual is linked to and then provide us with their name and contact details. You can choose to have a different person responsible for different activities. If this is the case, select the activities for the first nominated individual. Fill in their details, and when you click Save and Continue, you will be prompted to select one or more of the outstanding activities and provide the details for this second individual. The form will continue to prompt you until all activities have been linked to a nominated individual. Locations to activities to registered managers. If you have added registered managers earlier in the form, you now have to link your registered managers to the activities they manage at each location. Please use the drop-down boxes to do this. If you do not have a registered manager for an activity, please select the option "There is currently no registered manager." If you are an individual and are in day-to-day charge, please select the option "I am in day-to-day charge and do not require a registered manager."
The main menu. We are now back at the main menu page. You can see you have now completed both provider registration parts of the form. If you want to review these provider sections, you can do this by selecting View Print. We suggest you use this button rather than reopening the sections. If you reopen a completed section of the application, the status of the section will revert to open. You will then have to work through the form in order for the status to show completed. The location section of the form are now showing as blue, and you are now able to open them. It is here where you will be able to confirm your compliance with the relevant essential standards. Declarations of compliance. As well as telling us the service type of each location and the population which is served, you will be asked to declare compliance. For each location, you will be provided with a list of all 16 essential standards for each of the activities you carry on. You must select compliant or non-compliant for each one. There may be some standards where you believe that none of the detailed aspects are applicable to you. For most NHS primary medical service providers, of the main 16, we would only expect this to be a consideration for Outcome 5, meeting nutritional needs, and Outcome 3, feeds. In those cases where you believe the standard is not applicable to you, you should consider your compliance against the standard as far as it applies to your service, and make a declaration of compliance as appropriate. In most cases, we would expect you to declare compliant in your application form. This is because you are compliant as far as the standard applies to your service. There is no opportunity to declare that an outcome is not applicable, and declaring non-compliance would not be appropriate as it is a negative response and would require you to provide an action plan and might result in follow-up action. Declarations of compliance. Non-compliance. Where you declare non-compliance, you will be asked to provide more details. You need to tell us in what ways you are non-compliant, what you will do to become compliant, when you will do this by, and how will you make sure that you continue to be compliant. We may ask you about this in more detail during our assessment of your application.
Registered managers. Registered managers will have to complete their own relevant section. They do not have to wait for the locations or provider sections to be completed. They can complete their sections once they have received their login details. The status column shows whether they have been completed or not. Registered managers are not able to view the provider or location sections of the form. You may, however, find it helpful to share the information with your registered manager. You can do this by using the Print View button to print a copy of the form. When all registered managers and location sections have been completed, you can move on to the provider declaration. Declaration. When all the other sections are completed, you can make your declaration. In summary, the declaration states that you agree all the information is true and accurate, that you comply with the Health and Social Care Act 2008 and associated regulations, that once registered, you agree to inform the Care Quality Commission if there are any changes to compliance with the regulations, you understand that non-compliance with the relevant legislation could lead to the refusal of this application, you agree that the information contained in the form may be used as conditions of registration. The email address you include on this page is the address to which we will send our statutory notices which sets out our decision to register or not. Main menu. Once all sections have been completed and you have made your declaration, the Submit button appears on the main menu page. If you reopen any sections rather than use the View Print button, you will have to complete the declaration again. This includes reopening any Registered Manager sections. When you are happy with the form, press Submit.
Post-submission. If there is conflicting information in your form, a message will appear on your screen and the form will not be submitted. In this case, you will need to go back into the application and resolve the issue. An example is if a registered manager has applied for an activity which the provider has not selected. A message will appear on your screen advising you what is wrong. If your form is completed accurately, we will receive your form and start processing it. You will see a confirmation screen when your form has been successfully submitted to us. Once it is submitted, you will receive an email and a reference number to confirm it has been received by us. Then what? When we have received your form, we will validate the contents to ensure it is complete and does not contain confidential personal information. If we do identify a problem, we will contact you. We aim to have completed our validation check within 5 days. Once the form is validated, we will assess your application. This may require further information, seeking clarification on the information you have provided, or we may visit you. Our aim is to have assessed your application within 8 weeks of your form passing our validation checks. When we have completed our assessment, we will make a judgment on your application and send you a notice of decision to register or a notice of proposal to refuse. You can find more information on what this means on our website. Further information and assistance. For further information and assistance, use the help buttons within the web form and the guidance we have produced. Additional information can be found on our website, and our provider reference group may also be helpful. Finally, our National Contact Centre is available for those occasions where you cannot find the advice you are looking for. Please call or email them using the details shown.